need to focus on people's strengths, not what their weakness is, because they're going to continue to excel in those areas. I'm Deb Coviello, the Drop-In CEO and founder of Illumination Partners. I help C-suite leaders navigate their challenges with confidence. The problem that I solve really starts with the leader, is helping them to regain their confidence. They have arrived at a place where all of a sudden the conditions have changed and they pride themselves in being able to have solved these problems before. The problem is the old playbook doesn't help them anymore. Like I said, things have changed and they're at a place where they just don't know how to move forward. And that's where I come in, because I propose to them that one, they need to think differently. Anytime I see a leader, I go in with 3 L's: to lift, to light, and to lead. That's the way I start out. I look at them and try to lift them up because their confidence is at a bottom right now. And what I do is I look at them deeply and what are their gifts and their strengths, and I shine a light on it because that's what they need right now. They're great. They're just off track. And with my approach, I find that we're able to help them gain their confidence and be that leader, and people feel confident working for them. When you keep ignoring this problem of thinking that you can solve the business issues yourself, you go from a place of what you thought was control, and ultimately you start going into conditions of chaos. Pride is one of those things that's a superpower, a strength of theirs, and it's also their demise. They are at a place where they think, I can solve this. The playbook has served me well in the past. But when you start seeing people get burnt out, people leaving the organization, even yourself is getting burnt out. So don't be that one that has so much pride that you don't have the courage to ask for help, because it may be the last thing that people remember you by. 60% of C-suite leaders are suffering from burnout. And my purpose really is that they don't struggle so much and they can sleep at night. I find leaders don't spend enough time cultivating an external circle. That was probably my demise. I had a great inner circle, people, stakeholders that I regularly worked with. And I was faced with a crisis in my workplace. I worked with my people. I was everywhere in support of trying to solve these issues. And I will tell you, we all got burnt out because I had so much pride of, I can do this, I can do this. I've met with challenges like this before. I don't want that to happen to you, so I really highly recommend you need to build an external network of experts and resources so you can flex your muscles whenever you need to face those crises head on. I remember one particular customer that they called me in and said, Deb, we need to get this certification. And I said, okay, I can do that. At a time where they're just feeling a little uneasy, a little off track, great culture, great people. When I think about the compass, they were only slightly off track. They just needed some procedures and standards and new processes put into place. But what came out of this was not the fact that we got the certification for this client. They realized the benefit of closing the gaps in the compass. And with that, they have grown substantially. I would say that client has achieved peace of mind. I find that leaders are brought into an organization because of their technical capability, and especially for smaller organizations where people have just risen in responsibility, they've never developed essential skills. And so when I go into an organization, yes, we solve an issue. It may be a customer complaint, it may be a recall, loss of leadership, but one of the things that always seems to resonate is that they don't know how to have critical conversations. They don't know how to give feedback. They don't know how to receive feedback because we've never given them a framework for feedback. So one of the things that I teach organizations in order to be able to give positive, actionable feedback is 3 words. What should you continue? What should you start? And what should you change? These words are not scary. So case in point, I had somebody who worked for me in an organization, tremendous technical expert. But there was one particular instance where they were providing information to the leadership team, and there was something different about the energy and the outcome. And so I said, are you open for some feedback? And he said, yes, I'm always open for feedback. So I said, first of all, I'd like to say what you should continue. You are the expert. You are the authority. When you speak concisely, people listen to you. I said, when you deliver this information from your position of authority, I want you to stand. And they really, really appreciated that actionable feedback. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you is what you might want to change. He said, okay. I said, what you might want to change is the fact that when you're moving around, your hands are in your pocket, you're playing with your shirt a little bit, it's a little distracting and it detracts from the message that you're sharing. Why don't you maybe hold a pen in your hand? Just holding a pen, I think it will ground you so that it doesn't detract from what you're sharing. And he says, I can do that. And so this whole exchange about being able to give feedback to your people that is positive and actionable takes away the mystery, takes away the anxiety from developing your people. And that is what C-suite leaders are supposed to be doing. I love working with these leadership teams. And what I find that they do well is they know how to present information. What they fail to have had developed is the ability to say, in what context? So here's an example of a talented person going into a presentation saying, as you can see, the quality data shows that we are going in a negative direction and we're impacting our customer. We need to spend $5,000 to buy this piece of equipment. And then there's crickets. And then there's no action, or there's worse, there's dissension, because what we haven't taught them are the key words of influence. I say this is how you might want to reframe if you're trying to move people and influence them to a decision. The number of customer complaints is increasing, and if we don't do anything, it's going to start being exponential. We may actually lose market share. What we need to do is to get ahead of the game and make a purchase of $5,000 in this quarter, and we expect to be able to get a return on that investment in 2 quarters and see a downturn in the number of customer complaints. There, you have it. You have started using the language of business acumen. What is the risk? What is the opportunity? What's the impact to the customer? What's the impact to our bottom line? I find that at the heart of it all, I'm a storyteller. And in telling my stories, I'm doing it because I'm looking at the audience and I'm looking for that energy and who can I connect with as I'm sharing these stories with them. I'm speaking directly to each and every single person. So it's not about me delivering the information, but as a speaker, it is about me connecting with the audience. So by the time we're done, they might not necessarily remember what the talk was about. What they do remember is how I made them feel. Now, case in point, and this happens all the time, what I do is I take them on a journey. I take people to a different place. I take people to think differently. I, with them, create an experience. And that's what makes me different as a speaker. I'm Deb Coviello, your guide to help navigate challenges with confidence. Don't wait too long. Let's book a call at dropinceo.com.